It's one thing to know what purposes a literature review serves, as we explored in the last screencast. It's something else to actually put one together. So where do you start? Your group is going to need to come up with a good research plan. Instead of randomly selecting the first few articles that come up when you search your topic, you should think about how you'll decide which articles are relevant to your review and which aren't. Here's a broad list of criteria to consider when you're thinking about which sources to keep and which to toss. You might think about authority. What kind of article is this? Who are the authors? Is it based on scientific research? Was it published in a peer-reviewed journal? Also consider topicality. Does the article directly address the sport you've chosen? Will it be relevant to the program you're designing or the subtopics you've been asked to cover? Movement, physiology, injury, diet. Think about the types of evidence you're looking for. Are you looking for a particular kind of evidence? For instance, observational studies? Do you want studies with certain sample sizes or that use certain technologies or measurements? Currency is also important when selecting articles. Very old studies may not be relevant, so you'll probably want to set a date range. Ask your professor what's appropriate, but generally, the more recent the article, the better. Finally, consider what types of studies or research you should exclude. You might choose to exclude articles that aren't written in English, or that don't state their methods, or that don't include original research. There are also certain kinds of sources you might choose to exclude, such as textbooks. Once you've got a good number of sources, and what that number is will depend on your project and assignment, it's time to begin analyzing the scholarly conversation about your topic. But I know from experience that it can be overwhelming to make observations, especially if you're dealing with dozens of sources. It will be a lot easier to spot trends, relationships, and contradictions if you create a way to systematically analyze your research. This could be as simple as using digital file folders to categorize what you found according to theme or method. A tool that I've seen used in health disciplines is the source matrix, shown here. Consider creating an Excel file that will allow you to spot trends in a handful of categories, such as author and year, study purpose, sample, methods, relevant findings, and remaining questions. I generally organize mine by date, beginning with the most recent study and working my way back. Your group will need to discuss a handful of questions before you can write your literature review. After reviewing your sources, ask yourselves, what has changed over time? As time has gone on, have there been changes in the samples or the instruments used? What can account for those changes? What do researchers agree and disagree upon? Are there any contradictions in existing research? What methods or instruments have been used to explore my topic? And what are the benefits and limits of those methods? What's known about my topic? What remains to be discovered? And how should all of this affect recommendations for researchers, trainers, athletes, etc.?